the U.S. military unleashed B-2 stealth bombers to target underground bunkers used by Yemen's Houthi rebels. It's a fairly major escalation in the American response to the rebels' attacks on Mideast shipping lanes that appeared to be a warning to Iran as well. A lot to discuss here, so I do want to bring in Mohammed al-Basha, a Middle East security analyst, to talk more about this. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, first off, can you break down the significance overall of this attack there by the U.S. on the Houthi rebels?
Yes, so the use of the B-2 bombers and other aircrafts was a clear sign of force projection. It was not just a force projection to the Houthis in Yemen, but also to Iran. And in fact, because today Australia announced that the B-2s flew across or near Australia, that meant that it went to the Pacific Indian Ocean to Yemen. So it's also force projection to China. The B-2 bombers are able to carry double the loads that an F-15E Strike Eagle would carry. That's equivalent to like 5,000 pounds of bunker busters. These B-2 bombers targeted at least five known bases, including two in Sana'a that were widely reported as bunkers with tunnels in the mountainous areas. And how these bombs usually target these sites, they will target the shafts, they will target all the entry points to the mountains, and bigger bombs that are over 5,000 pounds usually could create a landslide that will severely damage the infrastructure. So this and the recent Tomahawk series of attacks in Sana'a, Hodeidah, and other parts of Yemen is a clear indication that Washington is stepping up its pressure at the Houthis, and it's sending a clear message that they're destabilizing maritime and other behavior in the region is no longer going to be acceptable.
Is it more of a warning to Iran than anything else, or is that just kind of a side, I guess, piece to that?
Yes, definitely. It's also a warning to Iran because a lot of the Iranian infrastructure is in mountainous tunnels, deeply buried bunkers. And there's this idea floating within the social media community that U.S. and Western partners and nation partners also are not able to target this. And the thing about the B-2 bomber and its ability to fly from the U.S. to target Iran is it's not going to pressure any of the nation partners or allies in the Arabian Gulf area. So the planes don't need to take off from there in case there's a retaliation from Iran. So these planes can fly from the U.S., hit the target, and come back.
What do we know about these underground bunkers that were hit? I believe I've seen some video of them in the past, but what do we know about them?
Yeah, so most of these bunkers were bunkers that were built in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s during the presidency of late President Saleh, with Eastern German expertise, some North Korean expertise. The Houthis used some Hezbollah expertise and transfer of knowledge from Iran to expand these bunkers and tunnels. And in Sa'da, for example, they're concentrated eastern of Sa'da city. That's the home governorate of the Houthi leadership. In Al-Kahlan base and in Sana'a, it's in Jerban and in Al-Hafa. So the bunkers are widely reported mainly because of the active work of the open source intelligence community that do on think tanks and social media. So it's not a secret where they're located or what they're doing. And previously, the Saudi-led coalition since 2015 has been already targeting these bunkers, but the Houthis are pretty resilient and they keep digging them out, expanding whenever the entry points for the bunkers are being targeted and damaged. They open new ones.
And what you're looking at is some of the video, file video from Reuters back in the past of one of the alleged attacks there by the Houthis. And I did want to ask you overall, do we know what the Houthis are actually capable of and how they compare to, let's say, Hamas and Hezbollah?
Yeah, I mean, one, the Houthis control a larger geography than Hezbollah and Hamas, and even other groups, Shia groups in Iraq. The Houthis in 21 September 2014 seized control of the capital Sana'a, and with it, they took control of the conventional military in mainly in northern Yemen. And with that came the missile groups and came all the conventional military weapons that they have. Through the conflict with the Saudi-led coalition, Iran did a lot of transfer of knowledge of technology with drones and sophisticated precision missiles. And lately, we've been seeing these missiles reaching central Israel. For one way or another, they're able to bypass the air defenses and the legacy systems that Israel and nation partners are having, and also some of the naval assets that we have. But for the past 10 days, the Houthis did not claim any maritime attack or any attack on central Israel, which a lot of experts are saying that these strikes have degraded since January 2024, the Houthi capabilities. And the Houthis claim that they're not striking because they're saying there's no targets, no ships linked to Israel or US or UK are sailing through the Red Sea. I think it could be the truth could be in between these two aspects. So the Houthis continue to be a formidable force, especially now with the weakening of Hamas and Hezbollah. All the attention is going towards Abd al-Malik al-Houthi and the Ansar Allah movement. He is, in fact, becoming the Arabic speaker for the axis of resistance, overshadowing even Ayatollah Khamenei and the two other groups, the Nujaba and Hezbollah and Asaib Ahlul Haq in Iraq. So he's becoming the key figure and was very quick to fill the void in the media sphere after the absence of Nasrallah, Ismail Haniya, and even today, I mean yesterday with the absence of Hamas's leader Sinwar.
And I was going to ask, does that death of Sinwar, the killing of Sinwar, have any sort of impact on the Houthis? It sounds like maybe, but will it have overall any impact since they are all pretty much proxies of Iran?
It won't have any tactical impact on the ground. It's going to be a rallying point to mobilize more supporters because it's seen that the axis of resistance is proud whenever their leaders and commanders are killed. And we've seen in the situation now in Hezbollah and in Hamas, yes, morale will be down, but these fighters are in tens and thousands, and they're keeping the momentum and they're keeping attack on Israel. So it's not over by you decapitating the head of the snake. The axis of resistance proxy groups throughout the region are pretty decentralized, and they're not dependent on one leadership. So they're able to quickly adapt and change, and they're very nimble. So it's not going to affect tactically the Houthis. But it's a moral defeat to a lot of the supporters of the axis of resistance.
And you kind of touched on this already, but are the Houthis really a priority for Israel, the U.S., or anyone right now?
I mean, it's clear that from the Israeli and the U.S. side is that the Houthis are the ones that started the attacks. Israel did not carry out any preemptive strikes at the Houthis. And the Houthis, from their point of view, they see themselves as being part of this axis of resistance, that an attack on Hamas or an attack on Hezbollah, an attack on Palestine or an attack on Lebanon or Iraq or any other member countries of the axis of resistance is an attack on the Houthis and in their territory of Yemen. So they do act as a one unit, and there's cohesion between them. but it's clear from the U.S. using B-2 bombers. I think, to the best of my knowledge, the last time a B-2 bomber was used was during the Arab Spring conflict in Libya in 2011, 2012. And was the first time that a B-2 bomber was used in Yemen. So it's pretty significant that the US is using its force projection power to target the Houthis. And also for Israel, I think Israel has launched two airstrike campaigns targeting mainly Hodeidah. It's a Red Sea seaport and targeting their fuel depots. It's going to be harder for Israel to maintain a military campaign to weaken the Houthis just because of their 2,000 miles apart. And it's not a 10 or 15-minute fighter jet attack like it would be in Hamas or bordering Lebanon. So it's significant assets for Israel to be targeting the Houthis in Yemen. And the Houthis know that. The Houthis know that the Israelis cannot sustain a bombardment campaign, and that's why they're even emboldened to push farther in targeting Israel with the Yafa drone and the Palestine one and Palestine two, what they call hypersonic. Most likely, they're supersonic missiles.
All right. Basha, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and help break it down. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, thank you for covering the issue. It's very important, and there are difficult times.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.